Hey guys, welcome to Convos. Sorry about the hiatus. It was a little bit of a busier week last week with the holidays and all that, but we're back. I figured we'd start this week off with an interesting one. It was called Star Wars Vader Dark Visions. It was a five-part miniseries, and it basically takes place from the viewpoint of a whole bunch of different people that have interacted with Vader throughout his time. It's five different stories of five different people kind of seeing him. The first one was kind of cool. Vader crash lands into a planet, an indigenous species planet. They have no idea what all this technology and stuff is. And, there's this little alien that's just kind of like, oh my god, there's this like Dark Knight coming to save us, not realizing that Vader is pretty much the living embodiment of evil. But that was just issue number one. Today, specifically, we're going to talk about Dark Visions number three. It is probably one of the most memorable stories I've read, and not for a good reason. Not saying it was a bad story. It definitely was written very well, especially if I remember it out of all five books. This is the one I remember the most. But this one was definitely an interesting one. It was definitely like, okay. So, if you guys can't see the cover, it's there's a woman with Vader. That's not Padme. And as we all know, Vader has only ever had, or Anakin has only ever had eyes for Padme. That's pretty much just how it's always been in the Star Wars story. So Vader is on, I'm guessing he's on his Star Destroyer. He's damaged, or he's like damaged from battle, and he goes into this doctor's office, and this woman is the nurse. So she's like, automatically you already see that she's like obsessed with Vader. For whatever reason, just obsessed. I don't know why. It's just, she looks at him, she's like, oh, there's so much power behind him, and he's so cool. And I get it, Vader's a cool guy, but not as a romantic interest. I mean, first of all, he got burned by lava. I'm pretty sure any kind of physical attraction you could have to him would end the moment he took the armor off. But besides the point, um, so she's like, all of a sudden she starts like daydreaming about like their life together, and she's like, oh my god, I just want to take care of him. I want to be the one that he goes to. And the doctor is getting like really annoyed. She's like, kind of being a little, coming on a little strong. The doctor's like, hey, you need to get out of here, like just get away, you've done your job. And then he asks her to come back after he's done patching Vader up and stuff, and just to clean up the room, clean up like all the blood and like all that stuff. And she finds this little, like, I'm guessing it's a piece of shrapnel that probably got taken out of like his leg or something, but it's this bloody piece of metal, and she holds it and just runs back to her room real quick, opens up this little box that apparently is full of other shrapnel that she's taken from Vader's body. Like, it is super creepy. And so, like, that all kind of goes on, and then Vader comes back. He's in battle again. He comes back, sees the doctor, and Vader obviously is just kind of a dick. He's just kind of a dick to the doctor, and, they kind of go off, and the doctor's like, hey, go clean that shit up again, because, this is just kind of what we do. And so she goes and cleans up and finds that Vader left his cape behind. So she grabs his cape and she's like, "Oh my god, he left it for me." She thinks that Vader is sending her these very subliminal messages, that he's like, "Oh, hey, random nurse lady that is obsessed with me, I want you." And that's obviously not what he's doing, but she's fucking crazy and obsessed. So she thinks that's what he's doing. Anyways, so she takes this cape, runs back to her room, and I don't know what her plan is at that point, because that cape is obviously too big to fit in this little itty bitty box. And the doctor finds her, and he's like, dude, Vader will kill you if he finds out that you have all this stuff. This is like an insult to him. What are you doing? I'm taking this and I'm throwing it in the incinerator. And he goes and he ends up just tossing it in the trash compactor. And she's like, tosses herself down in the trash compactor looking for the stuff that he threw out, can't find it. And then it flashes to her like daydream state. Like, this is like the C story, her daydream state, where her and Vader are sitting there just choking the hell out of this doctor, and she's like, do you know who we are, and blah blah blah, because she's obsessed. Anyways, so she ends up going to find Vader. She goes to Vader's room. I don't know if you guys know anything about Vader, you don't go to his room. You don't go to his room. It's just you don't do it because you'll die. So, especially if he has his mask off. So she goes in and he has his mask off. He's in his little breathing chamber and he's just kind of, chilling in there. And she starts to tell him about how, like, she thinks how beautiful he is. And she's like, now you don't have to be alone. I know who you are underneath. Finally, we could be together. And as soon as she says together, he shoves his lightsaber in her chest, kills her right there because he's Vader. He doesn't fucking care. And he kills her right there. She dies with a smile on her face, and as he's walking out, he's calling the bridge, and he's like, hey, someone come clean up this garbage out of my room. Like, he literally says the word garbage. And that's how that book ends. Not exactly what I was expecting out of a Vader book. That's why this one was so memorable. I liked it, though. It was really cool. I definitely, if you guys have the chance, go check out the rest of the series. You should be able to find, like, a graphic novel of it now. But just remember, issue number 3 is creepy. It is really, it is really off-putting. It is just, man, it's only the second time I've read this comic, and I didn't even want to read it a second time because it's just a creepy comic. It just gives me a weird feeling, But I had to refresh my memory on it a little bit to be able to recite it back to you guys. But that's Dark Visions number 3. Like, that's how that comic went. So that's that story. Oh man, I'm just thinking about the kind of things that have to go wrong with you psychologically or to be obsessed with somebody like Vader. Anakin died. Vader is a different person, and he's a monster. He is just a beast of a person. And to be that obsessed with somebody is just, it's nuts, to the point of killing yourself. Like, she essentially killed herself by going into Vader's room. It's just, I don't know. It's just a shocking thing to me. Again, Vader comics don't really go that way, and it's kind of interesting that they did on this comic. But that's it. That's kind of all I have to say about it. It was just weird. But I appreciate you guys watching this episode. I'll try to keep up on more like videos getting posted up and stuff like that. Again, I do apologize for the hiatus, but I'm going to try to go back to posting at least once or twice a week instead of every day like I was. But again, I thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you next time.